there's a difference between functioning and actually trusting yourself. You can get things done. You can show up on time. You can do good work and still feel like you're making it all up. And this tension, it's not about capability. It's about whether your confidence is propped up by your context or not, or whether it's rooted in something deeper, right? Like it felt like you were performing rather than showing up fully. That's not just about confidence. That's not a confidence issue. This is about self-esteem. The part most people don't define clearly, but they feel it when it's missing. That's self-esteem. And here's why. Applause from other people is not self-esteem. Affirmation from other people is not self-esteem. Internalizing the affirmation of others or the voices of others or belonging, these things are not self-esteem. So today in this video, we're going to break down the structural difference between self-confidence and self-esteem and why conflating them leads to emotional instability, or at least it can. So we're going to learn the psychological definitions that compose both concepts and why confidence does not equal esteem, how to use this confidence esteem matrix to locate basically where you live, and then why high confidence without deep self-trust creates fragility. And we're also going to look at a daily practice that shifts you from performative self-worth to a structural self-trust. And most people really never make this kind of distinction between confidence and self-esteem. So what they do is they overdevelop one, and then they ignore the other one, right? And they end up unprotected when their environment shifts. So in this video, we're going to kind of break down that difference. We're also going to look at something called the domain versus the core model, like why confidence is situational, but esteem is structural. We're going to use this simple 2x2 grid to locate where you're operating, and then why confidence alone cannot protect you, and how to develop daily practices that shift you towards that internal coherence. So first, I want to zoom out a little bit and give some context in the world of psychology for this distinction between confidence and self-esteem. So this distinction has been explored across psychology, across education, and even philosophy for decades. And self-confidence typically refers to belief in one's ability to perform specific tasks. So this view aligns with a psychologist named Albert Bandura, his concept of self-efficacy. This is task-specific assurance built through experience and modeling and feedback. Self-esteem, and that sounds a lot like self-esteem, but self-esteem, on the other hand, has been defined more broadly as a global evaluation of the self. Nathaniel Branden framed it as the product of self-efficacy and self-respect. Not just can I perform, but do I have the right to exist and to act and to choose? There are some critics of this concept of self-esteem in educational psychology, and they argue that inflated self-esteem without a corresponding competence can lead to narcissism or fragility. And there are these other scholars like Kristen Neff, that advocate for self-compassion over self-esteem, claiming that unconditional self-acceptance is more stable than evaluative self-worth. But most agree that conflating confidence with esteem is dangerous. And when confidence is mistaken for structural self-worth, people become emotionally dependent on performance feedback for something that should not be dependent on performance feedback. So this video in our perspective today really draws more from Branden's position that self-esteem is really not about constant affirmation, but really earned trust in one's capacity to navigate reality, especially under constraint. So this lets us kind of move on to this question of what do confidence and self-esteem actually mean? So psychologically, confidence is domain specific. What do I mean by domain specific? So confidence is domain specific. This means that confidence aligns with Well, in Bandura's model of self-efficacy, belief in your capacity to execute specific behaviors in specific contexts. So confidence, self-confidence grows through experience and mastery and reinforcement. It is performative, and that's not a bad thing. It's performative, it's testable, it's also variable, right? You don't want to have even confidence across all domains and even within your own domain, right? You want it to be an accurate representation of your actual competence with regard to specific tasks, right? You don't want to be overconfident or underconfident. You want it to be a reliable set of assumptions. Confidence is a reliable set of assumptions you can make about your ability to perform in specific domains, in specific contexts. Self-esteem, by contrast, is global. It's structural. We do want it to be uniform. And Branden argued it arises from self-efficacy plus self-respect, the conviction that you not only can act, but that you should, that you have the right to take up space, to choose, to pursue. Where confidence says, I can do this, esteem says, I trust myself even when this fails. Confidence operates in the foreground, esteem runs in the background and governs how you process failure, silence, and uncertainty. So we have this confidence esteem matrix. Imagine like a 2x2, chart, right? Kind of like the Eisenhower matrix, but this is the confidence esteem matrix, right? Where you've got really high self-esteem as one column and low self-esteem as another column. And then you've got high confidence in one column and low confidence in another, right? So high confidence, high self-esteem is you perform well and you recover fast when things break. High confidence, low self-esteem is you perform well, but you spiral privately. Okay. Low confidence, high self-esteem is you feel stable, but you hesitate to express skill. And then low confidence, low self-esteem is you feel incapable and unworthy of trying, right? So again, you've got high confidence, high self-esteem, high confidence, low self-esteem, low confidence, high self-esteem, low confidence, low self-esteem. And most people live in the bottom right. Okay, low confidence, low self-esteem. And some people claw their way to the top right, where the high confidence, low self-esteem. But that's brittle. It looks good, but it breaks fast. And that top left is where you want to go. It's not showy, but it's solid. You know who you are, where you have high confidence and high self-esteem. And you show up from that, not for it, right? So let's do a real walkthrough of each of these quadrants, right? So high confidence and low self-esteem. This person is charismatic, driven, admired, very likely, but the inside is hollow. Every win feels temporary. Every loss feels like existential. You fear silence. You chase output. You don't trust yourself alone, right? That's high confidence, low self-esteem. Now, low confidence, high self-esteem, that's you're capable, but you're quiet, maybe overlooked. You don't collapse when things don't go well. You trust your motives. You move slowly but cleanly. You're not afraid of effort, but you are afraid of waste, maybe. And then you have high confidence, high self-esteem. This is rare. It's very rare. And you're grounded and you're expressive. You act under pressure and you stay intact when the outcome shifts, right? You fail cleanly from an internal point of view. You recover quickly from an internal process point of view. You don't confuse performance with identity. So all this really highlights one big thing, that confidence by itself is very fragile because it's meant to be something running in the foreground that's more diagnostic and more variable, right? Confidence is rewarded socially. It's visible, but it's also dependent on unstable conditions, right? So Nathaniel Branden and later critics like Baumeister, they warned against building a sense of self purely on external validation or outcome-based efficacy, because when the task fails, the person collapses with it. Like, you can lose a skill, you can fail in public, you can stop being the best at something, but what matters is what survives beneath that collapse. Confidence is a bet on performance. Self-esteem is a bet on structural continuity. That's what makes it durable, right? Esteem is earned privately. You can build confidence in a domain, presentation, writing, weightlifting, right? But that confidence will always be fragile if it's your only foundation. Because the moment that domain shifts, the self collapses with it. You lose the job. Your body changes. The spotlight moves to somebody else, and suddenly you're in a free fall. Confidence is a bet on skill. It's a bet on domain. It's a bet on context. Self-esteem is a bet on your ability to rebuild. That's the difference. So here's a practice that you can do to kind of diagnostically orient yourself to be moving in a direction of having higher self-esteem, higher self-confidence. So every evening, run this loop. What did I say I would do? What did I actually do? Where did I overperform? Where did I underperform? And most importantly, where did I avoid? Where did I evade? Where did I hide? And then what will change tomorrow? Right? These are key diagnostic questions to be asking yourself. But really what you want to get down to is, what am I avoiding? What did I avoid? You want to do a diagnostic of your day and do, run a magnet check over your day and see, is there any evasion there? And this is not a track to perfection, right? It's the point of doing this evasion diagnostic to see if you're evading anything from your day. It's to close the congruence gap, right? Confidence gets built in public. Self-esteem gets built in silence. Both matter, but only one holds you together when everything else breaks. So, what did we cover today? Now you understand the critical difference between self-confidence and self-esteem. Confidence is domain-bound and socially reinforced. Esteem is structural and is built from self-respect and congruence and clarity. You saw how confidence can be externally strong while internal trust remains weak, and how that mismatch leads to fragility. We saw that 2x2 model to locate your current pattern, right? Where you've got high self-esteem, low self-esteem, high confidence, low confidence. So where do you fit on that matrix, right? And also a daily self-integrity loop to start shifting your foundation from performance to alignment, seeing, am I avoiding anything? Am I evading anything, right? Confidence tells you what you can do, remember, and self-esteem tells you whether you'll survive when you can't do it.